Hello, everyone. This is Leap Career Corner Speaker Series. It's a bi-monthly activity we do at Leap Africa to connect with successful business owners, successful men and women, in Nigeria who are doing incredible things. And essentially, they provide career advice to young people in Nigeria. So today, we're connecting with Mrs. Betty Irabor, and it's a really great pleasure to have her with us today. My colleague, Ojima, would you like to introduce?
Okay, yes, I'd like to give you a brief profile of Betty Irabor. She's a very wonderful person, and I'm very sure you'll be wowed when you get to hear about her profile. So I'm going to be starting now, so sit back, relax, and don't go nowhere. Okay, imagine from humble beginnings as a daughter of a Nigerian police officer and a seamstress mother, Betty Irabor, fondly known as Auntie Betty, learned the value of hard work and developed a strong conviction and drive. Betty learned early in life that even without the so-termed model family to support her, she could still achieve excellence in whatever she did. Her mother, Madame Doris Uwamere Era, was her initial inspiration, teaching her the value of hard work, but particularly demonstrating to her how being focused and diligent will lead her to greater things. Betty learned these lessons well and has applied them in all her endeavors.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
School life started at the Methodist Girls High School in 1970 to 1977. I know all the Methodist girls now will say, hey, she's an alumni. And progressed on to the University of Lagos in 1977, where she studied for a BA in English and Philosophy, graduating in 1980. So, University of Lagos people, start clapping your hands for Betty Irabor. She has really made Nigerians proud. With only 6 years industry experience, Betty seized the day and her destiny by deciding to take the plunge and publish her own magazine, Genevieve.
Yes.
13 years on, and with her magazine blazing a trail while building her personal brand along with Genevieve brand, Betty believes women cannot be said to be successful as long as traditional and cultural beliefs continue to hold down a huge percentage of young girls and stifling their growth and performances. We must continue to push for the passing of the bill on gender equal opportunities and obnoxious practices.
Okay, so I think we'll stop here for now. Let's just begin with the questions immediately. I'm sure a lot of people would want to know more about Mrs. Irabor. So we'll begin with the first question. Mrs. Irabor, thank you very much for, again, for coming to join us on the Leap Career Corner Speaker Series. Would you like to say something before we go right into the
Hello, thank you for having me on this. It's my pleasure. Leap and Genevieve have come a long way, so I think this is a kind of deja vu. So I'm happy to be here.
Okay, thank you so much. So to begin, we'll begin with the first question. What led you to starting a career in publishing? Knowing that you started a very successful brand, what led you to begin a career in publishing?
I saw that there was a gap in the market regarding lifestyle magazines. Women's stories were not being told in a positive way, in an empowering way. We had a lot of soft sells, and we had other pictorial magazines. But there was a gap. There wasn't a magazine that really inspired and empowered women. And I just decided that I could do something to fill that gap. And 13 years later, here we are.
Okay, fantastic. What usually influences the contents that you write about?
We've got our finger on the pulse of our readers, and most of the feedbacks that we get from our readers determine what goes on into content of the next edition, because it's a very interactive and very engaging magazine, and we listen to the voices of our readers, and they do speak to us. Genevieve, this is what we feel would like in your content next edition, and we go by that. As I said, we interact very much with our audiences, and that also that also helps determine the focus, the drive of each edition.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for answering that. Okay, I'll be asking you this, like, Genevieve is a popular magazine among women. What makes it different from others in the market? What's the value proposition for Genevieve Magazine?
Genevieve Magazine is a labor of love. Each page is filled with inspiring messages for the women. The feedback we get, again, is after a reader reads an edition, there's usually this feedback that you inspired me. Because I read this edition of Genevieve, I've decided that I can take my life into my hand and not be afraid to move ahead. So it's a 100-page of inspiration. It's full of empowerment, and I think one of the most interesting pages is my page Morning Dew, where I bear it all. I let people see my nakedness, where I'm coming from, what it has taken for me to get to where I am, and people can relate to real stories. And the stories we'll tell at Genevieve are not padded. They're stories of real women who have hit rock bottom and have climbed up because they realize that rock bottom isn't where their purpose would find them. So the stories we tell are very empowering, they're very relatable, they're very strong. And I think that's one of the things that has set us apart as a lifestyle magazine.
Okay. So
the next question would be, what's your day like as an editor? You look beautiful.
I'm actually the editor-in-chief. I have an editor. And when I started in 2003, I was all things to the magazine. I helped conceptualize the cover. I helped with the photo shoot. I helped with brainstorming for editorial content. I was everything, helped design the magazine. So my day was choked and really, really mad. But as we went on into the third year, the fourth year, and I wasn't so clingy to day-to-day activities. So I think by the time we celebrated 10 years, my team had understood more the ethos and the drive, the vision, and it was easy for them to work without me breathing down their necks.
Okay.
So my day is easier now. Genevieve isn't all that I do. I also author some books. I have public speaking engagements, which is something that I've just found my voice in. I've realized that as I speak to people through Genevieve, I can also speak to them one-on-one, and people can relate to my struggles. People can relate to my travails, my story of triumph. It hasn't been an easy journey, but I've made it seem like it's easy, it's possible for everyone. So basically now my days are lighter. We have more processes in place. We have more structure in place. People understand their deliverables and when these deliverables need to be in. So things are more organized, and I think for most entrepreneurs, this is one of the struggles. When you don't have processes in place and you don't have a structure in place, then you cannot work cohesively as a team. So that's beyond us, even though we still have challenges, but it's not the way it used to be. So my day is easier. I'm here now having this conversation. Once upon a time, you'll probably be in the middle of production and I won't be able to make the time. So we've grown, and also with growing, we've had consultants help us put processes in place. So we're good now, and my days are easier.
All right, we can see from here.
Okay, so the next question is, what's your in-house publishing style? What should people take away when they read your magazine? What's your in-house? Or if somebody's coming in to join your brand, join the company, would you like to share? Maybe just I
remember the first copy of Genevieve. We had like 20 fonts on the cover. we had, it was so complex. We had like 20 different fonts on the cover,
Okay.
and people picked up and were like, Genevieve, come on, you can, I mean, you have far too many fonts. But as we developed and as we grew, we created an in-house style. I would describe our house style as intimate. I would describe it as warm. I would say we're traditional. So
Okay.
those basically are the feel of the magazine and the look of the magazine. We're intimate, we're warm, and a bit informal, and still a bit traditional.
Okay. All right. Next question.
Okay, using your conversations with other writers and publishers in Nigeria and across Africa, what are the concerns of African authors and how can we promote diversity in publishing?
I think basically the authorship of books and magazine have been going on for a long time, and we have more and more authors coming out to tell the African stories, which were started by long ago by people like Chinua Achebe. So
Yes.
people are telling their stories from facts to fiction and fiction to facts. And I think a lot of people really do yearn for stories that they didn't realize, the stories that they weren't told when they were growing up. So
Yeah.
most of the authors telling these stories now they're starting a conversation and continuing conversation that should have been told ages ago. So right now, I think we have female authors, we have male authors. Chimamanda is a typical role model for us, and we've kept the conversation going on about Africa and about Nigeria. And I think more authors will come on board, knowing that there's a market that people want to read about their country.
Yes, that's absolutely true. So when you started the magazine, was there anything that surprised you in Nigeria in terms of setting up? Yeah.
It was like a rude awakening. For me, it was a rude awakening because I didn't study publishing, and I really didn't have a degree in journalism. I graduated in English and philosophy, and this was something I felt I could do. And I started, and it was very, very difficult. I learned on the job. Most of the things that I've done with Genevieve, I learned on the job. But what I did right was I surrounded myself with professionals. I got a team of journalists, hardcore journalists, and they came on board. So together we were able to make the vision real. The vision is to be a lifestyle guide and best friend, inspiring wholesomeness in all women globally. So with that vision in mind, we're able to come up with templates, 100-page templates on what we wanted Genevieve to look like. There were definitely many times when we fell on our faces. We made expensive mistakes. Sometimes we had to like burn a whole edition, set a whole edition on fire because the design was lousy, the photography was below expectation. So it was a struggle for many years until we began to get it right, until we began to have that in-house style that became a guide for us.
Wow, that's a lot of, how do you say it? I'm not sure how many people are willing to do that.
Yeah, a lot of sacrifice.
A lot of sacrifice.
It was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of hard work. But then I don't think there's any career that doesn't require hard work.
Yes.
It's just that publishing is not for the lily-livered. It's a lot of hard work. And its fatality rate is very high. That's why you see magazines come and go. It requires a lot of work.
To keep the business going and keep the interest and passion that people have for it. I remember as a child, my mom always had Genevieve Magazine in the house, and I was always very, very excited to read through the the pages. There's always something interesting going on, something something new. You know, so going on to new, what are the new trends in publishing in this technological age, in this technology-driven age that we're in now? What are the new trends in publishing? What should people, if you're coming in as a young person, what should you know about publishing? Yeah.
Publishing has gone digital.
Yes.
People want news fast and now.
Exactly.
And
yes.
they want it snappy. People do not want to consume hard stories. They want soft stories. You know, there's a lot of voyeurism on weddings. People want to see what's going on in there. So it's fast. News is fast and it's on the go. People want to read on their smartphones, and most things are happening on the digital space. That's the new trend. That's why you have a lot of blogs. And but I do think that both offline magazines and online magazines can coexist as such now. But I see that in a few years there'll probably be no market for hard copy, and we have already we've already seen that. That's why we're very active in the digital space. We have Genevieve Online, and we're active on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. So we've already seen that. So eventually we will transition to online. So the trends now are basically on the digital space. Everybody wants news as they go, and they want the quick takes. 10 ways to be successful, 10 ways to keep your natural hair, you know, 10 ways to avoid getting into a toxic relationship, 5 ways to know he's the one, and all that. People want they want to consume very light information, not hard information.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are the trends right now.
And it's always great to go with the numbers, because when you put numbers to a post, people, I don't know, it drags it, you know, people are automatically just driven to find out what are those 10 tips that I need to know about my life. What are those 5 things I need to know, as opposed to just reading a long article. But once you state them one in bullet points, it's
But we're also translating that to the hard copy. We're making it more of an easy read. So we're really also acting like a blog in the magazine, give people quick takes, interesting facts, interesting stories, things that would empower them in quick and short takes, rather than very lengthy features, which is one of the things we started with, telling stories. But we've learned to tell stories and make the same impact without making the stories seem like a school assignment.
Okay. Fantastic.
Okay, but thank you very much for being here with us. I'm really enjoying the conversation. I think I'm learning a lot from what you're saying. So if I want to go into magazine publication, I'd have to think of the digital space too. And how do I get to connect with people on the digital space and also on the hard copy? Because I need to, paying money to do my publishing, I need to make my money back, and then I need to still connect with the people online. So it's interesting speaking with you, Betty, once again. So we'll be asking you now, what important challenges do you see happening in writing right now? Like right now in Nigeria, particularly, Nigeria is being recognized as having strong storytelling culture. People want to say something. A lot of people want to go online. They want to be recognized, just get attention and all of that. So what would you say about this?
People, when we started Genevieve, one of the things we were told was that Nigerians don't read. And then we found that people said, can you make the magazine more pictorial? But people don't want to read. And we decided to stay with the vision, what we set out to do. To let people know that people would read interesting stories that they can relate to, stories that speak to them.
Absolutely.
And those were some of the guides that we had. And we found that people would read stories and would react. People felt touched by stories that we told. And it was very exciting in the sense that when they opened the magazine, they could actually, some of them would know the person being featured, like, oh, this is this person's mom, or this is my schoolmate. So it was relatable. It wasn't like when you pick up a foreign magazine, you know she's a foreign celebrity, but you couldn't relate. And even though more and more, I wouldn't even say it's typically Nigerian, but I think more and more people, or less people, are reading books. Less people are taking time to read books.
Hello?
I think you asked her already.
She disconnected.